Okay, hello. I don't even know what to call this video. We're going to be looking at IPET Goat here. This is IPET Goat 2, and this is the scene where we have the Black Madonna with the Lombardi Trophy Super Bowl reference. Okay. Now I've decoded this before, and we got some very interesting stuff to do with Madonna and Eli Manning and her Super Bowl halftime show. Now, we're going to take this a step further. So that old decode, if you've not seen it, in fact, we started kind of this journey back in the summertime, the late summer, decoding this for Madonna. Excuse me. And it's kind of evolved into another date, and now it's evolved into another date which is coming up, which is the 29th and the 30th of November. Some dates that I was already looking at, and of course, if you were to go back a few years in the back catalogue, I'm going to show you basically the same decode here as what I've got way back when I first started looking at the 30th of November, and it's really to do with the Great Scot in Back to the Future. Yeah, the 30th of November is St. Andrew's Day, and of course Doc in Back to the Future cannot stop saying Great Scot. Okay, so the Great Scots Day is the 30th of November. Okay, so we have it's a huge date, and like I just said, it's also in the dollar bill. I have some decodes on that, like I said, from probably a few years ago now. And one of those dates you can get in the dollar bill is the 30th of November. It's called the Lambda fold. That's what I named it anyway. So it may be, if you look in the back catalogue, you can probably find something to reference in the dollar bill with the Lambda fold. Okay, and that'll explain it. I will redo that fold for you in an upcoming video in the next day or so. I might even do it tonight if I've got time, but it's just like, oh man, I really don't have time. But anyway, I will try and show you that fold. But basically what happens in it is you end up with the Greek letter lambda, okay? And the Greek letter lambda is the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet, and it has a numerical value of 30. So it gives you 1130, the Great Scot, for that letter. And that letter is made up of, interestingly enough, the T and the A that's written out in the United States of America. Okay, in fact, it's the first T, so in the, and then in fact, if I've got a dollar bill up here somewhere. Let me just show you right here. Okay, so if I just draw on here, I'll show you how to do the fold. I could put it, I guess I could just do this and maybe. Okay, what we're looking at here is, of course it's not going to write on here, but right here is a fold marker. You fold all the way up through, and you'll cut through this part of the A up here. Then you're going to fold this side of the dollar bill over, and you're going to match up with this fold marker here. So you'll put a fold in, basically the fold line will come right on here, and this T and the back part of that A will make the symbol lambda. Okay, and that is the lambda fold in the dollar bill. It's pretty simple to do. If I get a minute, I'll actually show you. But what I want to do is I want to crack on with this decode here. So if you recall, we did all the references to the Hoover Dam with Madonna in her halftime show, and then we were able to come to a conclusion that this was Eli Manning here, who was the MVP in the Super Bowl 46 that Madonna did the halftime show for. Okay, and we had the tiers here. Okay, the tiers were forming Eli. Just one little tidbit of information. Back with the dollar bill there, you can actually put this fold marker next to this fold marker. So you have, because these are like little moths or angels, okay, and so at the Hoover Dam there's two winged angels, and you can put these two next to one another instead of folding them right on top of one another. And what that'll give you is it'll give you T, I, and A. So you have a 20, a 9, and a 1. So 291. Extremely interesting, but it also spells out kind of the word TIA, TIA, and so you can, this connection to the idea of the water flowing from the Hoover Dam, i.e. the tear flowing from the eye, okay, like when you cry you have a tear from your eye, or when you are born, the water that breaks from the eye, from the vaginal canal, the birthing canal, okay, that idea of water being released from the eye, okay. Anyway, where am I going with this? So we had all these connections with actually Madonna and her halftime show, and Eli Manning, and anyway, the other day I was looking at, why was I looking at this? I was looking at something to do with 213, and I was running some number jumps out, and I happened to notice, bit difficult to explain, but anyway, I came across this number jump, right? And I'm going to show you what it is. In fact, it's a certain person, and I don't have her up here, actually. I should have put her up. Let me see. Let's go to, hang on a minute. We don't want Beyonce, but we are going to talk about Beyonce in just a minute. And we also talk about Halo. But this is, so I don't have her up, but we'll probably go to her in a minute. Okay. This is, who is this, Dan? Who is it? It's Kelly Rowlands. Okay. So she was in with Beyonce there, and also, I can't remember her name, Williams. What was her name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there's three of them in Destiny's Child. Okay. So, Destiny's Child, let's just go back to this image here. Let's look at what we've got here. We've got Destiny's Child right here. Okay. Now, this number jump that I came across was, like I said, Kelly Rowlands, who was in Destiny's Child, through to, actually, it was the 29th, and you can also do this and get it to the 30th. Now, what is so important about this number? This number right here is the same number we had been looking at, this 16363, with Eli Manning and Madonna, and that had projected out the 10/22 date, okay? So this is going to be losing a lot of people. You won't, if you've not seen that decode, or the Madonna decodes up to this point with IPET Go, you're really not going to be knowing what the hell's going on. Needless to say, this number right here is to do with the marriage of, let me see if I can just write it in for you. It's trying to think now, 18 divided by 11, okay? 18 divided by 11 equals this number right here. Just put a point there, and then obviously this is just reoccurring forever. 63, 63, just goes on forever, okay? So 18 divided by 11 is this. Now what this is, where this comes from, is these two numbers come out of the Lucas sequence, okay? And 18 divided by 11 is how you would get to the approximation for the golden ratio in either, if you were doing Fibonacci numbers or if you were doing Lucas numbers. You take your preceding number from whatever you're looking at, okay, and use it as your divider, okay, and that will give you an approximation for phi, the golden ratio. Anyway, needless to say, these two numbers are super duper important, yeah, right? And this number here is super duper important to do with the the combination of these two numbers, or these two numbers being in balance, right? 11 and 18. You will also notice that it's 44 years, 292 days, yeah? So again, with the 29, which is all to do with the white wedding as well, that number, which is 18 plus 11, and it's also 29 is, gosh, I hate that I have to do this every time, but if you do 11 plus 18, okay, that is going to equal 29. That's your next digit on in Lucas numbers from 18, yeah, 11, 18, 29, blah, 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 okay? And you can, preceding that, you can do your 7, then your 4, then your 3, then your 1, then your 2, okay? And there's your Lucas number sequence, okay? Now, what's important about 29, and these 2 points here are middle points in, or at least the point here is our midpoint in our number sequence, right? When we complete a certain cycle. If we look at these two numbers individually and reduce them as well, we get 2 and 9. So 29, 2 and 9 is super duper important. I went through the 44 last video. I'm not going through it again now, but this is all really important to do with the wedding, to do with starting over again. Yeah, the white wedding is to do with what? It's to do with, the start over of the system, the two bodies coming together, okay, and the beginning of the marriage, right? That's why it's so important. And again, the white wedding, Billy Idol's birthday, it'll be his 70th birthday on this particular day, so we can get the 7 reference. And of course, this is the 7th Lucas number, okay? So 7 is very important. And of course, you could add on a day, and it'll be 7-1. Very nice with Diana's birthday. Okay, so now we're all over the place already. I apologize about this, but what we've got going on here is, this is really interesting because we've got Destiny's Child, and as I said, Kelly Rowland's birthday, who is in Destiny's Child with Beyonce, happens to run out to the same set of numbers, okay, from her birthday, yeah, where is it now? From her birthday through to 11:30, okay? This is the same number jump we had with Eli Manning and Madonna to the 10:22 date. Now, interestingly enough, 10:22, Madonna has a song that she did for a certain Bond film, Die Another Day. The song is named Die Another Day, and so interestingly enough, that song is released on 10/22. Well, she didn't die on 10/22, so we're looking at dying on another day. So this is very interesting that this all connects in together, right? Now, what is even more interesting is, of course, Beyonce, the Black Queen, if you like, as well. And this is interesting with the halo. Now, don't forget, when Jesus dies, okay, where does he go? He goes into the tomb. He's in the eclipse, yeah? That's what the tomb is, yeah? And when he comes out of the eclipse, yeah, the big rock rolls away from the front of the tomb, from in front of the tomb, yeah? That is the moon rolling out from the sun, okay? And the sun is reborn at that point, yeah? This is an eclipse reference right here. This is being in the dark, in the tomb. Now, funnily enough, Beyonce, along with the members of Destiny's Child, also did a Super Bowl halftime show. And they did the following year, after Madonna, they did the Super Bowl halftime show. Okay, it was really Beyonce, but they had Destiny's Child on there, yeah? Destiny's Child doing a halftime show. This is being in that tomb. Yeah, in the tomb is the what? The blackout. The blackout is what? The blackout is when the power goes off. Now, I think Decoding with Cody's been talking about. I haven't been able to really watch the video yet. I caught about 2 minutes of it. He's got some blackout video up. But this is what we've got coming up. We've got Black Friday coming up. Black Friday is the blackout. It's going into the tomb, yeah? Now, what would we liken that to with Jesus is Good Friday. Good Friday is the day that Jesus dies, or at least that's, you know, what most people believe is the day he dies, okay? Obviously, there's people that have other ideas about that, but so, yeah, what day? Jesus died on Friday of Passover week, all right? Traditionally recognized as Good Friday, okay? So we've got Black Friday coming up, going into the tomb, Black Friday, yeah, lights out, blackout. At Beyonce's Super Bowl 47, what do we have? That was the blackout bowl. That was when the lights went out, okay? Black Friday, what I'm trying to say here is Black Friday is the same as Good Friday, yeah, as the death of Jesus. Now just look what happens on Black Friday. Everybody goes out in a hysterical craze to, I don't know, buy stuff. Yeah, the gluttony of capitalism. People going out, going crazy, acting poorly, acting badly, acting, you know, like possessed people in order to buy stuff. Yeah, from a system that is super corrupt. I would say it's safe to say that out of all the days of the year, this is one of those days when Jesus has left the building. Yeah, people are not acting. I mean, just capitalism in general, anyway, is pretty bad. But it's like we're like at the peak of capitalism. You know, it's like a very you know, Good Friday. Black Friday is, you know, a very interesting idea with the idea of the death of Jesus, okay? So, and what do we have in that scene in IPET Go? Yes, the death, essentially, of Jesus here. And of course, when Jesus is dead, the Virgin Mary is corrupted at that point, okay? Right? It's that simple. They're both dead at that point, right? But obviously, being a metaphysical idea, partially metaphysical anyway, you know, it's already a sort of a partially dead idea anyway. Anyway, let's just look at. So there's some interesting number jumps. There's some really mental number jumps here actually. What did I want to show you? So that Super Bowl was, now what is it? I'll tell you something else that's interesting here. There's this number here. That Super Bowl was, so the Blackout Bowl, let's look at the numbers back through, because I've already lost my train of thought. So this was between Madonna's Super Bowl and the Blackout Bowl. Now look what numbers are being shown here. You know, what we're getting encoded. We're getting 1129 encoded, right? So this is well interesting, because of course really what I need to do is go to this. Let's get this off of here and I'll show you that little bit in a minute. So as I was saying earlier, yeah, this is our 11 and this is our 18 and here's our 29, 7th Lucas number, right? And so this is the White Wedding. This is these two things combined. Now don't forget that if we were just running these digits out, right, we can pick out some other dates here. We can pick out 11/28 before the 29, and obviously the day after the 29th is the 30th, which is fairly easy to get because we've got this 311 stuff coming on here as well. And again, if you can remember the kind of layout of the clock tower in here at the temple, yeah, So this bottom part's the clock tower and the temple with the clock on 14, 1-4 numerology. This is the upward arrow and the downward arrow. So, you can start picking out dates, lots of different dates here, okay? Anyway, now I've got my train of thought here now as well. But 1129, of course, is right there. It's a date that I've talked about several times in the past because it's just such an interesting, 1118 or 1129, super duper interesting dates for balancing out, okay? Anyway, 1129 happens to be, this was 11 months 29 days, was 364 days. Now, just note what column 364 shows up in here, the 11th column. Remember, the number 11 is all to do with balance. Yeah? The metaphysical, the physical. This is the completion of a cycle, number 10 for the metaphysical. This is the completion of a cycle, going to the 12th there, for the physical. And of course, right in between, the thing that balances everything out is the number 11. Okay? Again, the Queen dying, Queen's funeral, 9/11, 254th day of the year. Again, Queen tying in with 9/11 anyway, with the switcheroo on the dates. And now 364 in here, referencing back to 1129, at least for those number jumps. Obviously, it might change depending on what months you went from to what month. It might change a little bit because of the difference in month lengths, but yeah, 1129 connecting back here. So that's super interesting. Again, I'm kind of going over this pretty quick, so you've kind of got to know what's what. So with my decodes. So back to this, the halo. Again, one of Beyonce's. I mean, we can do stuff all day long here with this. Even like Charlie's Angels, like Charlie just dying, and the angel with the halo. And so anyway, we're going to go to Beyonce's song Halo, right? And we're going to just let's do a number jump out with that. I had this here somewhere. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to get through here. Oh, and I'll show you the picture of Lambda. I've got that in here in just a second. And then maybe we'll just do that Lambda fold as well. Oh dear, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. And now, of course, I can't find the one that I wanted. Here it is. Halo. Let's look at the release date. 1/20/2009. Got the 2009 in it again. Okay, so let's go to 1/20/2009. Probably right here. 1/20/2009 through to Madonna's halftime show. 1, 1, 1, 1. Now that, that is just mental. Yeah, because this is, the 4 columns. Yeah, the tower, 11, 11, double 11, right? Well, look at some stuff with double 11. Actually, it's not really that interesting, actually. I had something else on that as well. Anyway, don't matter. This is the 4 columns, right? Yeah, the 4 inlet towers at the Hoover Dam. 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. Yeah. The 5th element is the gateway right in between there. Okay. And again, when we're talking about the 5th element there, sorry, this is all over the place, but the 5th element, again, the upward. This is the Greek letter lambda. Okay. The upward sort of chevron-y type back upside down V here, or the A without the bar in it. Okay. The phallic symbol. And again with the clock tower, yeah, lightning coming down and hitting the top of that thing. You put your clock face in the middle of there. Okay. It's very interesting for sure. The pyramid, yeah, the all-seeing eye at the top of there, the eye of provenance on the back of the dollar bill. It's very, very all similar symbolism. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, this is so terrible. Yeah, the 111. That's the release of Halo through to Madonna's halftime show. That's no accident there, right? What else have we got? Let's just go through some of these number jumps. Okay, so back in 2003, yeah, that great big blackout. Okay, look at the numbers with that. 8:14, yeah. Oh, and look at what time they put in here. 4:10, same as on the clock tower. 8:14 now. Don't forget that is super duper linked to Lucas numbers. 28 days earlier than 9/11 is 8:14. 8:14 is all to do with Pluto. Okay. Anyway, look at finally restored power on the 16th of August, Madonna's birthday. Super duper interesting stuff. So, because of course we want to talk about blackout stuff, right? Blackout because of going into the tomb. Yeah, when you die, what is it? It's blackout time. Yeah. What else we got in here, Dan? Okay, well we want to come on to this one just a second. Let's see. I thought I had. Yeah, here we are. This is so. In keeping with when we looked at Eli Manning as the man of the match in Madonna's halftime, this is. I thought I'd better do Joe Flacco was actually man of the match, or man of the match, MVP for the Beyonce for number 47. Where is it? Okay, that was Eli Manning in that one, and then in this one, Joe Flacco. Okay, and his birthday. 1/16/1985. This is 9/4/81. Beyonce. That should be Beyonce's birthday. Double check it because I'm terrible about putting numbers in back to front and around the wrong way. Okay, 9/4/81. She happens to be 44 years old, and her 163 number I think comes up. I can't remember when that was, but it's later on in the year. But anyway, just look at this. From so the MVP through to the Queen. Again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me just show you why 1, 2, 3 is so important, right? Because 1, 2, 3 is right here. It's the 10th Lucas number. Okay? The 10th Lucas number. And if we total up to this point here, I've got it in grey right here, it's 3, 2, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, very, very important. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just absolutely super duper important. Okay? And of course, again, 1, 2, 3, it's the beginning, of the Fibonacci cycle, so to speak. Oh no, we've got a 1 here in front of that as well, and regular old number line, of course. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, very super duper important. 3, 2, 1 for this completion 10, which is 10 is the end and beginning of a new cycle. Yeah. Right. Get rid of that, so we're not getting in a complete mess. Go back to this. So 1, 2, 3, super duper important. I can't remember if there was something with 1, 2, 3 that was. No, but I'll tell you what is interesting is do this and click it. 202 prime, and look at this. The 1231st prime number is 10009. Okay, so that is fairly moderately interesting for sure. I mean, just the chances of that sort of stuff coming up between these two's birthdays is pretty crazy, let alone all the other little connections there. So just to recap, what we're getting here is we are getting a connection with not only Madonna and Eli Manning and their Super Bowl show, so to speak, but also with Joe Flacco, Destiny's Child, okay, Beyonce. It's just, there's just so many connections here. And then the jump between the two to do with the White Wedding and projecting out the 11/29. You know, it's just absolutely insane. Okay. So anyway, we'll see if something happens on the 29th or the 30th, or even the 28th as well. And of course, we might be wanting to look as well for Black Friday, which would be the 28th. Okay, so yeah, so Thanksgiving will be the 27th, and then 28th will be Black Friday, 29th will be Saturday, and then the 30th will be on Sunday. So the point is, with this whole thing, with the idea of Good Friday being Black Friday, is Sunday is would be the resurrection. Okay, yeah. So, what day did Jesus resurrect on? Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, it'll be Easter Sunday. Okay, so references to eggs and bunnies. Quite interesting, isn't it, with all the Frank stuff? Okay. So anyway, what would I say about this? The resurrection is the rebirth. So the tomb has to open up. So Sunday, you would think, if the tomb's going to open up, what would the tomb be? Well, the tomb is the Hoover Dam, yeah? The Hoover Dam breaking open on the 30th. Now, this ain't the first time that we've looked at this date for the Hoover Dam, but, it would connect very nicely to Billy Idol, and the connection to Billy Idol, the dollar bill, and Billy Idol, the White Wedding, yada yada yada. There's a ton of stuff in Billy Idol songs referencing back to Vegas and stuff, so forth and so on. So I mean, just lots of references with Billy Idol in the lyrics of his songs, stuff we've looked at before, and of course, just depends on, you can connect a lot of these things to a lot of different things. So, alright, Right, what else we got here? So we just did a little mini recap on this. Notice that there's the 3 towers here as well. Right, so like 9/11 connections, and also note that Destiny's Child, yeah. I got it in here. This is, I think, it says it's. Well, let's see if we can get them up here. The 3 of them together. Oh, probably not. Going through the halftime. Here they are, right? So look, dressed in black. You see what I'm saying? The 3 towers here. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Okay, the 3 dressed in black. The triple goddess in monolithic form. Okay. What else we got? I'm sure there was something else. What's this number jump I keep glossing over here? Oh, well, I don't want to do this right now. This is something for another day. But I guess I could just whiz through it while I'm here, because where am I going to put this in another video? I don't know. Just out of interest, this is Donald Trump's birthday. 29792 palindropic. So the White Wedding, which was on the 27th of July 1981. But if you look at this palindromic number for Donald Trump, look where this comes out. This is Diana's birthday, 2028. If she was still alive, she would have been, I don't know. I can't remember. You can do the math. Okay? So that's fairly interesting that he has this palindropic White Wedding number coming out on what would have been one of Diana's birthdays. And also, just to drop back to let me show you this. Just to drop back to let me put this in. Just to drop back to Dancing with the Stars, the 29192, okay, which again is, that's not, like the tier fold on the dollar bill, with, or you could just take the 1 or the 11 numerology, like ace is high. So these numbers here with the white wedding, again, very interesting, because this is Derek Huff's birthday here as well, okay, who took over from Len Goodman, who I unfortunately I was getting my numbers mixed around, but Len Goodman was something like 28,900 days old on the finale date for Dancing with the Stars, and then we went back and Donald Trump was 29,800 days. It's something like that. Anyway, I can't remember which way around. 29,800 days or something through to the White Wedding this year, and that was all connected in with Charlie Kirk. So we had the 298 numbers like repeating. And the interesting thing about 289, if I'm getting that around the right way, I think it was 289, not 298, but that is 17 squared, which is super duper interesting, and it's also got something else interesting about it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, so we've done that. What was this? This is Madonna through to this particular date. There wasn't anything interesting about it. I don't know why I've got this in here. Through to the 28th or the 29th. I'm not sure why I had this even in here. Is there something interesting? 105 days is interesting on the end of that. Yeah, there was something interesting. Look at this. I'll show you what's interesting. Look. It's actually, well, anyway, I'll show you what's interesting, right? Through to the 28th, this number here, nothing crazy, nothing super, well, 104, it's marginally interesting from a last birthday. Click it, right? And I don't usually look at this, but this just happened to look interesting. Is look, octal 60,000. I don't know how this octal stuff from and to works, to be quite honest. I rarely look at this really. I just have a glance through it. Hexadecimal to the 6,000 there. The binary is what was interesting. 11, and then it's just a bunch of zeros. So this reference back to 11 here with the binary is just absolutely crazy. I thought that was, I don't know what number that is, how many zeros there are there, but there's quite a few. So that, you don't usually see stuff like that. So that was really fascinating for sure. I don't know where you take that rabbit hole with binary. Again, I don't know. HAL 9000, I've got a number jump that's 9,000 in there, I think, somewhere. To that Space Odyssey could be quite interesting. There could be a little bunch of connections there as well. But anyway, there's 291 there. What have we got? So we did that. We did the 111. 814. So this was the this blackout. Yeah, this blackout here when they finally got the power back on. Okay, so when that happened through to the 28th now, and obviously you can wiggle the dates around. 814. This is when the blackout happened on the 14th of August. 8140 days. So again, super duper interesting. Of course, if you watch the channel, you know why 814 is so blooming important. Okay, let's get back to this other number jump, because I've got to show you this. Snatch. So on the topic of the diamond, Diana, okay, this film, Snatch, that's by Guy Ritchie, who is Madonna's last ex-husband, okay, this, again, the crude terminology for Snatch is, this is, Madonna was Guy Ritchie's piece of snatch, okay, get where I'm going with that idea there. So this is all, this is definitely connected to Madonna in a number of ways. Not only was she married, or she actually, yeah, she was married to Guy Ritchie at this point. Okay, so or was she? 2000. What was the release date? No, she wasn't. She was just about to get married to Guy Ritchie at this point. Okay, because I think she got married in. I've got it in here somewhere. 2000. December the something 2000. I think I got it in here, or maybe I don't. Who cares? No, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me show you this. So this release date here for Snatch, I want to show you this 23rd of August 2000. That's Kobe's birthday as well. But let's go to this. And so as I was saying, you can kind of pick these numbers out here and get 1128. So there's our numbers for 1128. 2811. Okay, in reverse there. Now look what that crosses with. Okay, look at the number up here that it crosses with, 8, and look at the number below that it crosses with, 823. This is the release date for Snatch. So this makes this look very nice. This 8 is the 28th date for Madonna. Because of course we could be talking about 2 or 3 different days here, running up to the 30th, even the 30th, So that's that. Number one, that is super duper important, right? Now let's look at the number jump between these and see, why that's also looking pretty interesting. Now, where did I have it? I've gone over it about half a dozen times and been like, we're not doing that yet. Here it is, 823 2000 through to 1128. Now this is just mental. 9229. That is absolutely, without swearing, effing mental. Was there something interesting about that? I can't remember now. No, I don't know what. Let's look at it like this. And of course, the fudgery, starts happening when you can move stuff around. But there's just this number, 9229. So we've got the 29 palindromic again, crazy. But that doesn't end there with the craziness with this film, right? I mean, I know we've looked at this film before several times. This is all about the diamond getting swallowed by the dog. Okay, what we got here? Oh, and just this is again randomly going back to something completely different. This is the crown jewels being stolen at the Louvre. Remember, we were looking at the Louvre and the connection to the clock tower and Back to the Future with the glass front and the glass pyramid and the shopping mall underneath it and all the rest of it. So this connection back to the Louvre. Look through to the 29th, 41 days. Yeah, clock stopped. That's the numerology for the clock stopping. Yeah, super duper interesting. Anyway, what else do we got here? No, we're not doing that right now. Oh dear, too much stuff in here. We're going to get onto that in just a second. We're going to get onto that in just a second. But I had something else for and that in just a second. This is Jason Statham's birthday. Yeah, he plays what in Snatch? He plays Turkish. Now tomorrow, well, 4 minutes time, it's Turkey Day. So this is kind of interesting with this connection to Turkey and tomorrow. Now look where he is coming on his huge palindromic number here, right? The 29th. Of course, we can do this and make it the 30th. So the 29th or the 30th, he is 21312. Yeah. This is the beginning numbers. This is Lucas numbers, the start of Lucas numbers, the beginning of the cycle. Again, the idea of balance with, the mirror reflectiveness of a palindromic number. Okay. So this is super duper. This is really important. And he's playing Turkish. Turkey Day is tomorrow. Yeah. So we're heading to this, this date here. This, cluster of dates here. Very, very interesting indeed. There's something else I want to say about that. He was also, one of the main characters in Lock, Stock, yeah, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, yeah, the Guy Ritchie film that references Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, the Two Smoking Barrels, the Twin Towers. Okay, there he is. Okay, you know him, right? Who else have I got in here? Thought I'd better do Guy Ritchie, because we're going to drop back and do some more stuff with Guy Ritchie in just a second. Guy Ritchie's birthday through to, again, 11/29 or the 30th. Look at that number. Yeah? Look at it. 209. 29. Absolutely insane. Look at this. There's our 289. Yeah? As well. 289 as well. Oh my lordy lord. Right. Whichever way around that number goes, I can't remember, with what we were just looking at with Trump and Len Goodman and everybody else that's got this, and also Charlie Kirk had that reference. So that's with Guy Ritchie, yeah. He also did a music video for Madonna, and the one that's I just do in one song for Madonna. What It Feels Like for a Girl. At the end of this, the music video for this song, she dies at the end of this. Okay. Now, what I liked about this as well is the 4/9 reference. This is, the reverse of Beyonce's birth. She's a 9/4. 2001. Okay, so 4/9 2001 is the release date for this. So let's do the number jump right here. This is through to the 27th here. Again, this is really loaded. I mean, we can just go through this now. This is the 27th coming up. Okay, so this looks pretty interesting. 8998 palindromic. Obviously, the Queen dies in 8998, right? Yeah. So that's really ominous for tomorrow, along with Jason's reference there to Turkish. Okay, and again, we can come on another day, and we've got 899999. And of course, this is probably something interesting as well. Yes, 1117, 17th of November. Oh man, we were just talking about that. Not even go into it, but you can just see just absolutely craziness with these numbers right now. And look, we're going to the 29th, and now we've got 9,000. How 9,000? With the red circle there in the IPET Go. So you can just, do you know what I mean? I mean, this is a great reference to how 9,000, yeah, because of the eye. This is how seeds, yeah, and this is the halo for how, and this is again the red eye that he has, yeah, the red eye. How many times have we looked at red eye references? Okay, so it's just absolutely flipping mental the way you can tie all these things together. And then of course, yeah, the 9-1, right? The 9-1 numerology for the beginning of the Fibonacci cycle, yada yada yada. And of course, we've got to do the final little piece here. So this day absolutely loaded for that song, yeah. 9002, the 29 for the 30th of November. Absolutely crazy. So that is this. We can also look at, what is this? Oh, this is Die Another Day, just out of interest. So that song Die Another Day, which in fact is the next song on that she releases from What It Feels Like for a Girl, I think. We'll look at it in just a second. 8441. There's the 841 reference again. Was there something interesting with that one? No. See, they're not all interesting. Then this is the music video release for that song, and Guy Ritchie did the music video for her. Okay, so the music video in which we have the death in the Pontiac Firebird. Okay, this is the release for the video, 30th, and I would just go to it in just a second. 20th of March 2001. Look at this again, absolutely crazy. 9020, 92 references, the White Wedding, right? It's just absolutely bloody insane. Let me show you that in here actually, because again, we're talking about, and of course, unclick that, and we can click this. So we're on the 29th, yeah, with the 92 reference, probably more likely. And if we go to this, look down here, look at where I've got it highlighted so I can remember what it was. Or at least I think I had it highlighted. Here he is. Okay, so what it feels like, aired on March the 20th, 2001, at what time? 11:30. Oh dear. 11:30. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay. What else have I mean, I haven't even, like, I just had to stop doing number jumps. I was like, this is, they'll be deleting themselves. Absolutely crazy stuff. What was this one? Did we do this one already? Yeah, that was Guy Ritchie. Okay. Yeah, that is just absolutely nuts. I mean, we've had so many good dates for Madonna the last few years. It's just, she's just got so many numbers, you know. Let me do this. Hang on a minute. Let me show you this lambda fold. While we're here, let me show you the lambda fold. If the computer can cope with it. Okay, paste. So, you get your $1 bill. Remember I was saying, you're going to fold it right through down here, right? So all I do is just cut it through there. I don't feel if I can get a thing on it. So I cut through the little angely moth thing, which is actually the little owl further on up there as well. It's the same part of the pattern up here, the top of the little owl, so what is supposed to be a little owl. Anyway, you're going to fold that and you're going to join it up over this side, right on top of the other fold marker, and there's your lambda fold. Okay, and so that is your Greek symbol lambda. Okay, it's kind of, if you were drawing it, it would look, you know, something like this. Okay, so that is it there, and that is, yes, the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet, 30 value, 11:30 right there. And you know, I don't know how many times we've joined this stuff up. I mean, there's just so many. You can get quite a lot of numbers in here. There's tons of numbers really in a dollar bill. Okay. And let me show you the tier while we're here as well. Undo. So again, you pull down you're gonna cut through there again, fold it on this line, bring it over, and instead of, actually no, you're not going to do that. Hang on, undo. You're going to fold it right next to that. Okay, the theory is that there's two, it's been a long time since I did this, there's two angels at the Hoover Dam that are side by side. Okay, so we're thinking about these little mothy things being angels here, and put them, I've done it wrong again, hang on. Get it right, third time lucky, right. So cut it on the other side of the angel, right? Oh dear, which is just on the edge of the sea. And bring that over and set your two angels next to each other. Okay, something like that. And what you'll notice is you get TIA. Okay, tier. And obviously 20, I is 9, and 1. Okay, so you've got those numbers showing up there as well with the White Wedding and the tier. Yeah, so this is, again, pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff, in fact. Okay, I think that's it for the whole video. To be quite honest, what have I missed off of here? I know that was all. Sorry, that was all over the place. Oh, this was what I was looking at. This is some stuff to do with the Channel Tunnel. Okay, this is one of the dates. You know, there's several different dates for the Channel Tunnel. We've got that date there, and of course you can go. You can start looking at, you know, all of this stuff. There's some marginally interesting stuff, but I had been thinking about Madonna and the Channel Tunnel, yeah, because there's a lot of like symbolism that works in connection for those things, you know. 5/7 was, I think they did some little jaunts through, not like a proper train service, but they ran some passengers through, and either the 29th, or you go to this, and 1153 is actually an interesting number because it's the 191st prime. So that is fairly, 1153 is a fairly interesting number, and the reason why, what the 153 fish again is the Vesica Pisces. It's that gateway, the entrance to the tunnel. Yeah, this is why this is so. This number shows up several times with those Channel Tunnel jumps. Okay, where was I at? Let's go back. No, let's go back here. So that number shows up several times with the Channel Tunnel. This is the first sort of freight going through the tunnel, which again, you can drop that back and get this 153 for the 28th as well. So again, you know, that is a fairly interesting date for the Channel Tunnel, to do with the idea of the, you know, the Vesica Pisces, which is again the Vesica Pisces. Don't forget as well at the wedding, the Vesica Pisces, yeah, is when those two rings come together. Yeah, the Vesica Pisces opens up when man meets the metaphysical. There's a gateway, and you got to be careful not to go into the matrix, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem we have. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of people on Black Friday that are going to be going in, buying a bunch of stuff, yeah, going into the tomb, into the matrix. Okay, but that is just the beginning of it, you know. That's the beginning of the takeover, is the Vesica Pisces opening. Okay, because you know, a lot of the time people don't really talk about the symbolism that much with their decodes. You know, a lot of people match up stuff and say, well, this means death, or this means, you know, whatever, and a lot of the time it's very negative, what people look at. I think I've done everything, you know. Yeah, the Vesica Pisces, okay, the phallic symbolism, yeah, the wedding. It's another good reference for the wedding right there, just that. I'm gonna leave it there. That's probably way too long anyway. I felt like there was some other stuff that I wanted to mention, but I think, you know, you get the point. Yeah, blackout, Black Friday, power outage, the idea of going into the tomb. It's the idea of Good Friday, the idea of the death of Christ. So followed by the resurrection on Easter Sunday coming up. So, you know, Friday ends, yeah? Friday ends it, you know. We've talked about that with Friends. I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about. Friday I'm in love again, yeah? The Cure, okay? But you have to have the death first, okay? Essentially speaking, the death is the resurrection, yeah? Once that occurs. But we're going to have this probably 3 days. So, okay, thanks for watching. Hope that made sense to the people that haven't seen my previous decodes. But 30th of November, I've got a lot of stuff with Black Friday and the 30th of November from years ago. Like I said, I'm just repeating. This is just repeated stuff. Apart from some of these number jumps back down in here, a lot of these ideas are just repeated over and over again. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you on another one. God bless. Good night.